Guys, welcome to another episode of Thinking Like a Bank, where we help you think like a bank by applying the same strategies and principles that banks use to help you find more financial freedom in your life. I'm your host, Sarah Ibrahim. With us today, I have Vince Shorb. He's one of the country's leading advocates for promoting financial literacy and a thought leader in teaching and scaling financial education programming. Shorb has led the NFEC in the development of 2,500 literacy programs and development of over 80 financial literacy assets. He has been featured in publications on US Today, CNBC, Yahoo Finance, Forbes, CNN Money, MarketWatch, Fox Business, Huffington Post, NASDAQ, and Business Insider. After spending 15 years in financial services working one-on-one with more than 20,000 people, he founded the National Financial Educators Council, an organization dedicated to combating the financial illiteracy epidemic. Vince, welcome to our show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Obviously, with the core of this show, right? Thinking like a bank, we're thinking differently about money and thinking differently about how we could invest, save, get out of debt, kind of solve the financial illiteracy problems that you specialize in. Before we talk about that, do you mind sharing more about your background and what you do today?
Yeah, happy to. Really, I started out young, always had an interest in money, always had an interest in investing and interested in building businesses, from my first ones selling lizards and reptiles to collecting cans, through many different side businesses I started through high school and college years. I've had a big interest in real estate, so I started investing in my teenage years in real estate and other types of things, stocks and other businesses I did. So I always had an interest there, but the thing that I liked most is when people would ask me questions. So my friends, my family, they'd be like, "Hey, I want to buy a home. Let me do a budget with you." And I'd really take that time to work with them. And I really enjoyed those years. And then as I progressed in college, I made some dumb mistakes, got myself into trouble, and it went from, feeling somewhat comfortable to worried, stressed, wondering if I could pay the bills, wondering if my car was going to break down. And, I got into financial services after I graduated college, and I was even in during college. But my focus was, hey, I liked helping people with money. So I wanted to pursue that. And I did that for 15 years-ish in that financial service space. But what I found was I was just putting Band-Aids on people's problems. So my last few years were in the mortgage industry, and somebody would come in, refinance, pay off all their debt, have a really low payment, and their future was looking bright. 6-8 months later, they'd come back. "Hey, I need another 50,000. I need another 100,000." Right? So I was putting Band-Aids on that. And then I had a conversation with my mom when I was thinking about leaving, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And she said, "You always talked about why isn't money taught in school?" After that conversation, I really came back and shifted focus and dropped my financial service career for this. And I founded the National Financial Educators Council going on 16 years ago now. And our focus is really helping people gain the knowledge, gain the confidence to make effective financial decisions.
Very nice. Okay. And you mentioned a budget. So somebody might come to you and say, "Hey, I'm trying to buy a house. Can you help me with the budget?" The word budget means, different things, and there's different ways to do a budget. So, and I guess in plain simple terms, what is budgeting and how do you do that?
Yeah. And I think I'll take this from a context of how I used to do it and how we do it now when we
Okay.
help people. Because before, I'm a very logical person, very analytical person. So I'd really run the numbers with people, right? Hey, here's your income. Here's your expenses. What can we cut down? How can we improve your income? Really, it's the basics, right? But I was always very logical, analytical. But what I found out through the years is people are making decisions that aren't always logical. It's very emotionally driven. A lot of people are chasing near-term fixes with those purchases. They want that rush of hormones when they're making that purchase. So what we do now is we train educators and coaches to recognize that, hey, when you're working with people, doing a budget isn't black and white. It's not that spreadsheet only. We need to address their behaviors, their confidence with money, and also set out a bigger picture plan that gives them reasons to want to follow this spending guideline.
I think a key word you just mentioned, behavior, right? How important do you think someone's behavior is relevant to the money they make or the money they save?
Critical. I've seen, in my time in the mortgage industry and financial coaching, I talked to over 20,000 people, reviewed over 10,000 personal financial statements. And what I found is it didn't really matter the amount of money people were making. A lot of people were 2, 3, 4 months away from not being in a good situation at all. So that behavior is critical. And I think it's really important to point out too, that financial behaviors form at a very young age. A couple studies out there, Cambridge University points to about age 7. Brown University points to about age 9 when they're developing work ethic habits. So these financial habits are starting young. You have advertisers' influence, you have those influencers, social present people, and you have parents that often are reinforcing bad behaviors. All the while, they're not teaching their kids about money. Neither are schools. So these behaviors often carry over into adulthood. And that's where we can really trace a lot of these issues too. The good news is that we can change behaviors. It's just like a muscle. It's much harder to modify an existing bad habit rather than mold positive habits at a young age. But we can do so. And I think the key is having strong reasons why we want to cut back on whatever it may be now, so we have this vision of the future that's really driving us forward.
Yeah, I love that. And as a financial professional myself, I talk to a lot of people we go through financial analysis meetings, and you're right. It really doesn't matter how much people make. People have this tendency, I guess most people have a tendency, as the more they make, the more they spend. It's like those are two correlated factors. Like when one goes up, the other one goes up as well. And it's almost like it naturally happens. As people, end up in a bigger house, their electric bill goes up, newer cars, remodeling, everything just keeps increasing with their income increasing, which kind of defeats the purpose of making more money, right? If you're constantly spending it, it defeats the purpose. Now, one thing that's kind of helped me, and I share the strategy with some clients, and let me know what you think about the strategy. But one thing that's helped me is to kind of, in a sense, put yourself in a situation where you're taking the control out of your hands, right? Like there's a big difference between saying, all right, I'm going to save $500 a month sometimes versus I'm going to do a savings plan that's automatically going to withdraw $500 a month out of my account. And there's nothing I could do to stop it. If I have to stop it, I have to fill out paperwork. There are obstacles to stop that. What do you think about that strategy, forcing yourself to save?
Love the strategy. And the big thing that we do is really encourage people to set up systems, just like you described, right? Hey, is it that automatic transfer to paying your bills? Is it automatic transfer to savings? Is it automatic transfer to investing? So there is that obstacle. So I agree 100% with what you said. And, when people think financial literacy, they often just think, hey, it's just knowledge, right? Knowledge of topics. But really, it's those things that you mentioned there, the systems, the behaviors, the confidence, and also that team. Do you have those people in your life that you can talk to about finances comfortably and get good advice? Where we see a lot of people go off is, the employer will give out a new, like a retirement plan, and heads pop up over the cube and asking the neighbor, hey, what should I do? Where should I invest? Right. And there's always 1 or 2 people in the office everybody turn to, but what's their background? Do they really know? And is it really that trusted advice? So I think what you mentioned, in addition with those other areas, really makes out a well-rounded, plan for developing a strong financial foundation.
Absolutely. And you mentioned too, like, somebody's in a situation, what should I do, right? Should I implement this 401k? Should I do this IRA thing they're talking about? Should I do this, And I think it's not really about the end product. It's more about, what is that you want to accomplish. And what are your goals? Is it, short-term, long-term? Is it accumulation? Is it generating cash flow, passive, active? It's important to work with somebody like you or a trusted professional to help identify their goals. And I think that's another mistake people do, is they look at financial and investment products as if it's like something that everybody just does, right? Like everybody does a 401k, so I think I should just do one because everybody's doing one. Or everybody has a mutual fund, so that's what you do, right? And I think there is no really should in financial planning and budgeting. It's more about what is it that you want to accomplish, and what are your goals, like short-term, long-term, as mentioned. What do you think about like the relevance to that?
You're right on. One of the core of our teaching, whether it be to our financial educators or financial coaches that we train, is that everybody that you're working with, if you're teaching a classroom, every single person in there has a past history, past habits with money, different goals, different things coming up in life. There may be somebody sitting there that has an inheritance coming in 2 months. Somebody else that, has, 20 grand in debt and they want to pay for their daughter's wedding, right? So there's so many different things. It's not like teaching a normal subject like math, 1 + 1 = 2. With this, there's so many variables in any classroom. Now, if we're coaching somebody working one-on-one, obviously that's narrowed down to really getting to know that person and all those variables, so you can help and guide them. But yeah, it is very interesting with personal finance. There's no one size fits all. And yeah, you alluded to a very good point. Hey, don't do what everybody else is doing. There's something that's going to fit you, and find what that is. It's going to fit your risk tolerance, your comfort level. You're aligned with your longer term vision. So look for those areas in investing. And that does take a little bit of time, research, listen to podcasts like yours, and getting out there to see, hey, what is this fit for me?
Yeah, exactly. I think the self-education aspect is far more important than just the traditional education. Like, people might think of finance or business, like I have to get a bachelor's degree in finance or accounting or economics to understand business or how money works. But really, self-education is far greater than just traditional academic. Like, listen to podcasts like this, watching YouTube videos, reading books, attending conferences and conventions, financial conferences and conventions. That has a much greater impact on you because it's going to be more tailored. It's more practical, right? It's more relevant, it's more practical, it's more doable than just, traditional education is.
I agree. And, just going through your podcast, seeing all the diverse things that you're talking about. I saw one on Bitcoin mining. I saw one on these other things. Like, hey, that may not be what I do, but it's a great thing. And also, you can find educators like yourself that are a fit with the personality, right? Going back to college, I remember I took a real estate development class, always very interested, really excited about this class, right? I bought the $100 book, sitting down, first day, I'm excited. The guy starts talking. He's like, I asked, hey, what type of developments have you done? And he started one project, went bankrupt. Now he's teaching. I'm like, I was out. I left. No point in me being there. Why am I going to learn from somebody that lost their only development? Now, there might have been some things, but I'm just going to read the book. I don't want to hear what he has to say. So here, we have in the beauty of living in this age, because we don't have to go to class. We don't have to go to the Dewey Decimal System. I might be aging myself there, going to libraries, looking stuff up. We have this information, so we can connect with those people and self-educate ourselves. And really, I think that self-education also helps guide us to our comfort area and what type of investments we can make where there's that confidence. Because when people don't have confidence, I've seen it time and time again, they freeze, right? They don't make a move, or they make a knee-jerk reaction. I'm going to do this now. I'm going to do that. So it's emotionally driven. Hey, when we're at a point of having confidence and knowledge in an area, we're able to make more thoughtful and considered decisions that will, again, help us get to where we're trying to go.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. How do you, like, for example, if somebody is in this analysis paralysis situation, right? They have all this information, should I invest in real estate? Should I invest in, this other investment or stocks, or, what are some things you would advise them on how to kind of loosen up and then potentially make the right decision?
Yeah, first off, there's never going to be a right decision. There's things that are kind of in that general direction. So I think a lot of people are looking for that perfect investment. Yes. I want 20%, no risk of loss, and this is it. That's what they're looking for. And hey, I haven't seen it. So, but that's what people are oftentimes looking for. So it's making a decision that you think, hey, this has the chance to get there. Now, times come up like now, rampant inflation, possible recession, the housing market, who knows what's going on there? There's signs both ways. So, but it's in times like this, when people don't have that security. Hey, I know I made this decision. I made it based on the facts with logic. I have the team members' support. I gain that knowledge. And hey, if I'm off in the future, I have backup plans, right? So you're not kicking yourself. And I think a lot of people are worried about losing. And that's a worry that impacts a lot of people. But what I always tell them is, hey, if you're doing the right steps, you're gaining that education, you're getting the team members, you have that backup plans in place. Whatever happens in the future happens. We're in a position now, we got to forget about hey, if you took a 20% hit on your money, forget about that. Hey, what's that next step forward for you so we can keep this momentum going and keep you on track?
God, you're so right. I think the fear of losing is really detrimental to a lot of people. Just the fear of anything, right? The fear of loss, the fear of losing, the fear of failure, the fear of it not working out, I think is really like, that's what really holds people back. I think that, and it's really the idea of fear, right? If they do something wrong, then it's like it's a permanent hit on them, And the reality is, and I see this working with a lot of real estate investors, working with a lot of entrepreneurs, it's all about the failure, right? It's all about that leap forward. Because if you do, for example, if you do 5 things, like 5 big things, you do 5 businesses or 5 real estate investments or something, like 5 big moves you do, and only one of those 5 things works out, it's possible. I don't know the specifics of these 5 investments you're doing, but it's very possible that one could oversee or overseed all the others. It's, in other words, it becomes more profitable and it was worth it to do all those. And this is what I see working with a lot of clients, is that they have this mentality where it's like, I have my active business. I'm going to invest in real estate. I'm going to invest some in, in stocks or options or whatever. And even if a few of those things work, it's still well worth it. It's kind of like thinking like an insurance company, like you're thinking in the law of large numbers.
Yeah.
And I see this too from a mindset perspective. In my opinion, I think that when your problems are bigger, things start to make more sense. When you're aiming higher for bigger things, it starts to things start becoming more clear. I don't know, what's your goal? What's your opinion on like setting big goals?
I think I would say it varies depending on the person. Some people, right? There's some people we work with that, hey, they just want to get to a place where they know they're going to be working till they're, 80, 90 years old. They've accepted that, right? And they just want to find some happiness in life, and they don't want to take the risk, and that's fine. So I think a lot of it has to do with lifestyle. But I think the people that are listening to your show, and the people I'm associated with in the friend level with, their big goals is key, right? That's what drives us. Gets us up in the morning. That's what makes us hungry. So I think for people like that are listening here, that is a huge driver for, I would say, the average person. Sometimes that could be almost scary, right? Because of lack of confidence that they haven't had, when we get beat up so much, right, in life, and looking at the average life cycle of person financially, right? They get out of high school, maybe they go to college, typically they'll get into debt. Their first few financial decisions are mistakes, which sets them back. They're trying to pay off debt till they're 35, 40 years old, and maybe trying to get a home, start a family, which is all expensive things. So they feel beaten up oftentimes. So by the time they get later in life, it's just like, hey, I'm done, right? But I think if we could help give them some big goals early in life, starting in elementary and in high school, and get them beyond thinking college, right? I think the big push in schools is, hey, go to college, go to college, go to college. I never heard in school, and maybe I did and I forgot, but it would be rare if I ever heard, hey, go be successful, make money, take care of your family, be an advocate, be in a place where you can contribute back to the community. I never heard that. It was go to college, go to college, go to college. Well, hey, it costs $50,000. It doesn't matter. Go to college, get a loan, right? So I think as parents, as educators, and those teachers out there, we have a role to ensure these kids are helping to get that bigger picture. I think that would proactively avoid a lot of problems we see today, where people are worried about those bigger goals and they just don't feel like they can accomplish them.
Got it. And you mentioned the key point is that, like, you're so right. We're trained to go to college, spend $50,000 a year on college. But if it's $1,000 for the coach or a course, it's like, that's like, a ripoff, or like, that's not worth it. Like, why would you do that? Why would you pay somebody $1,000 to teach you something? But in reality, I think that you can get a much higher ROI on your money with self-education, work with people like yourself, coaches, mentors, people on a practical level. They're on your level. They've done what you're doing. They're ahead of you in what you want to do in real estate investing and entrepreneurship and business. But I think you could learn far more than, and school obviously, has its advantages, right? Teaching kids and preparing them for the world. But there's a big difference or a big gap in the entrepreneurial mindset in school. Like imagine like, when during the career fairs or whatever, your teachers are asking students what they want to be when they grow up. Imagine if one of the students says, when I grow up, when I'm 40 years old, I'm gonna have a bunch of businesses. They're all going to be passively run, and I'm going to make $50,000 a month in passive income. The teachers probably wouldn't allow that student to even make that decision. Like they're like, no, you have to pick doctor, lawyer, engineer, architect. Which one is it?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. They train people for jobs instead of being entrepreneur. I mean, we're, here, land of opportunity. I mean, there's so many opportunities, but, they're not prepping them in school. We have an initiative. It's called FLEC subjects, financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and career planning. We want to really change what schools are doing and change their focus from, I never use history. I never use advanced math. I don't care what a hypotenuse of a rectangle is. I'll look it up on YouTube. I care less, but I care about money. I care about making sure that these kids are graduating with the skills to get a job, earn an income, start a business, and be their personal finances and be ready to invest. That's where I think the strength of the country will come in. And that's where I think it'll really empower people really across this land with the information they need to feed their family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back in the days, 100 years ago, people weren't teaching their kids that. They were teaching them, hey, sons, daughters, come out on the farm. Here's how you plant a seed.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we do. Here's how to raise a cow. Now we've completely thrown that out the window. We're teaching subjects that they'll never, ever use. We've been teaching the same subjects for the last 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we have computers now. I can ask Google, who was the 10th president? It'll tell me, right? So I'm just saying, give some time for the subjects, financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and career planning in schools. I'll get off my soapbox now, but
no, I love it. Yeah, you're so right. We need, instead of taking humanities and sorry, instead of requiring humanities and our history, we should be requiring, business, finance, how to use a financial calculator, what is a mortgage, how to, leverage debt in your advantage, how to do things kind of like that are going to actually really help you and really important. And I feel like the idea of, or the subject of financial literacy isn't really an option for people. It's not like I could say, oh, financial literacy, that's not my thing. I don't really need to, and be involved with that. Everybody who handles money needs to have financial literacy. So and if you don't, you'll be forced to learn about it. When you start getting those credit card bills, when, your mortgage interest rates go up, when these things happen to you, you're kind of in a situation where it's like, now this is what you were supposed to learn. And that's fine. You're going to have these lessons, but at the same time, I feel like it's not a subject that's excluded from people's lives. It's included in everybody's life, whether they want it or not. It has to be learned. It has to be taught, and it's needed. Now, Vince, I have a question. So the National Financial Educators Council, is it like a not-for-profit organization? Can you tell us more about what kind of organization this is?
Yeah, definitely. We're a public benefit corporation, so it's a certified B corporation. So it's a hybrid of a for-profit and nonprofit. So we have to, our mission is social impact focus, but we're business focused too. We want to earn revenue. We don't have donors and things. We have it through our products, which is certifications for educators, coaches, and really we have turnkey systems to help these people, we call them financial wellness champions, that want to build and scale financial education and coaching programs in their community. When we started, we were in a council. We were boots on the ground, doing financial education, doing coaching in local communities. And then people started asking us, hey, we want to utilize your material. And so about a decade ago, we shifted our focus to really helping people not having to reinvent the wheel like we had to create. So yeah, that's our focus. Again, as a certified B Corp, I think we even have higher standards than what a nonprofit has to go through, because we have social impact KPIs. We have certain responsibilities to our workers, how it's governed, and also to the environment, right? So many have heard like ESG goals, environmental, social, and governance goals. And that's really our focus as an organization, is doing the most good possible and staying on our mission, which is building out local community financial wellness programs.
Got it. Okay. So people can reach out, right? And they can get connected to a coach. Did I hear that right?
They definitely can. So we train and provide them the resources, and we connect them with our graduate coaches. So that is a service that we do provide. We provide that connection, and really they're at the top of the industry as far as that training. They meet all. We aligned it. Since I'm from financial services, there's things that we had to do as far as security, protection, responsibility, fiduciary responsibilities toward our clients that aren't out there with other coaches. And that's what we really brought into our coaching, is where, hey, we're aligning with those standards that are set for financial services. Although the coaching industry is not regulated, which is scary, we wanted to hold our coaches to that higher standard.
Yeah, you're right. Because in the financial services world, there's a divide, right? There's a split between financial advisory. Like this is, people who have their Series 6, 63, their CFP Series 65, more of, broker dealers, they have a different, they have a different set of regulations, right? People are usually paying them through buying insurance products, or paying them a 1% fee or 2% management fee. And then there's the other side of it, which is financial education. And this is different, right? This is, you're working with the coach, and the coach is helping you invest in different areas, but you ultimately are in control of those investments and those decisions. You're just being coached by somebody. I see the advantage to both sides. In my opinion, I like coaching a little bit more than the advisory side, because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Vince, but I think that coaching is a little bit more fluid than advisory. Advisory, think about it. If you have, you're part of a broker dealer, you have, an agency you work with, there are certain things you can and cannot do. Actually, a lot of things you cannot do. There's a lot of rules and, on what, as to what you can advise on. Whereas coaching is a little bit more customized. It's more fluid. It's more agile.
Yeah, great point. And I think, where, the coaches and advisors, realtors and mortgage brokers work well together, because as a coach, we're not giving financial advice or purchasing financial products, right? So when we're helping the majority of people, so if we look at the country, 70% of people may not be in position to invest money in need of a financial advisor, or, hey, how many people are buying real estate that given year? So we wanted to give the average person a way to talk with somebody and get that. So we're specialized in guidance, education, and empowerment. We want to give them the knowledge so they can make these decisions on their own and go through the process of what that is like. And then when they get to a point, let's say they saved up a good amount of money and they're ready to invest, that's when we go, okay, hey, great, that's awesome. We'll make sure we do your risk management profile. We'll get you set up so when you talk to that financial advisor, you're knowledgeable, you have ideas on your comfort level of risk, and kind of you're in position with that risk capital set aside, emergency funds, and debt situation, where you're going to be in good shape, and they're going to be impressed when you go there and have that initial conversation.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And how can people connect with you and learn more about the National Financial Educators Council?
Yeah, thanks for that. They can visit our website at financialeducatorscouncil.org, financialeducatorscouncil.org. Feel free to connect with me personally on LinkedIn. I'm at Vince Shorb, S-H-O-R-B as in boy. I think I'm a little Vince Shorb out there, so it might be easy, S-H-O-R-B. And anybody that is, has a passion, is interested in bringing financial wellness program to their community and really aligns with that cause, I'd love to talk to you.
Sounds good, Vince. Thank you so much for being on our show. I enjoyed our conversation. I enjoyed your expertise on financial literacy. I'm looking forward to having you back on the show, and I'll include all those links you mentioned in the show notes below, so that way listeners can just click and connect with you. Thanks for having me. I do appreciate it. To learn more about what we do and how we can help you grow more wealth, please visit www.finassetprotection.com. That's F-I-N, assetprotection.com. The topics presented in this podcast are for general information only and not for the purposes of providing legal, accounting, or investment advice. On such matters, please consult a professional who knows your specific situation.